Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday to you. Thank you for joining me and my neighbor's dog in the backyard this morning for some time together in prayer and reflection. I've been thinking a lot about what's inspiring right now in our lives. I've had that conversation with the staff this week. We spent some time at the beginning of our staff meeting on Thursday, just kind of reflecting together on what's inspiring each one of us. And we named books and events that are happening in our lives. And for each one of us, there was something that was really a reason to be cheerful and happy. And it was good to share that. That's an important thing that we do as Christians, is share good news. And we share the good news of God and Jesus, of course, and our hope in God's reconciling love. But we also just share good news when we find good news, which is not something that the world encourages us to do very often, I've noticed. I've been reflecting on that in particular a little bit, about the way that news functions in our lives. I recall a few years back while I was leading the Rector's Forum at Christ Church in Ponte Vedra Beach, which we'll do here in one Sunday from now, the 12th, we'll start doing this Rector's Forum. And it's an open forum. It's not a Rector's Forum where I come with a topic and say, here, let me teach you for the next 45 minutes, but instead, here's a text, here's the gospel for the day, or here's the gospel in our lives. Let's talk about that for a little bit. And it's an open conversation. So because it's an open conversation, somebody at some point said, hey, did you catch this terrible thing that happened in the news this week? What are your thoughts on that? And my honest answer was, I did not catch that terrible thing in the news that week because I don't watch the news. I had, for a long time, watched the news and still read a lot of the news. But I've noticed, and this is key to this spirituality that we've been talking about for the last week. What do we notice? What about the outcomes in our lives as we do things or don't do things? I've noticed that I'm a happier person and am more capable of managing relationships in my life, including my relationship with God, when I'm kind of unplugged from the news a little bit more. The other thing that I've noticed in that is that things that make the headlines one day make the headlines for one day. That doesn't mean that they will be of grand importance even a week later. So this particular thing, I thought, gosh, I'm just going to wait and see if this scandal will still be rocking our world in another month or 2 months. And sure enough, here we are a couple years away. I actually don't even remember what it was about. I remember vaguely what it was about, but I don't remember the who's and the what's. Because I'm pretty sure it didn't have such a catastrophic effect on the world. I, personally, would rather spend my time finding those stories, those good news stories about what is going well in the world, what's going to fill my life with cheer, what's going to inspire me to be a better human to those around me and to those that I might meet for the first time, those strangers that turn into neighbors because of God's grace. There is a lovely podcast from Freakonomics. You can find it through NPR. And the podcast title for that episode was Reasons to Be Cheerful, drawn from a website by David Byrne. You know him as a famous musician probably from the 80s primarily, though he's still out there touring. And he decided that he would counter the negativity bias that we have. That negativity bias is that thing within us that makes us a little bit more interested in those stories that are bad news than those stories that are good news. And because of that negativity bias, media companies sell us the bad news because we're going to buy it and they're going to make money off of it. So we thought, well, goodness, even if it's a small thing, I'll just try to have a website that promotes good news. And it's called Reasons to Be Cheerful. And it is a delight. Not every story on there is is as interesting as the others, but they're all reasons to be cheerful, and they break down some of that jadedness inside me, or the callousness sometimes, to let me have a little bit of hope again in what humans can accomplish. We live in an extraordinary world and have extraordinary gifts in many ways. This is the best of times, and it's often the case that we fail to recognize how many things there are to be cheerful about. One last little thing related to this, and it's a piece of scripture that I've been thinking about a lot. In Psalm 4, which is often read at Compline, the last set of prayers that we say before we close the day in our what we call the daily office. Again, those of you who've been tuning in this week will know about the daily office. Psalm 4 has this lovely reflection toward the end, and I'm going to paraphrase a little bit because I can't remember exactly how to quote it. The line is, many are saying, oh, that we might see better times. And then everything beyond that is the person writing the psalm saying that God gives me peace. And when I put my head on my pillow at night, I can fall asleep instantly and at peace. There is something subtle in that psalm. I've never really gone in depth in a study, but there's something subtle in that psalm to me that says that in a world where many are saying, here's all the bad news, and oh, that we might see better times, those who have faith and hope and love, drawn from the deep well of God's presence in our lives, we find peace anyway. We find reasons to be cheerful, and we share those reasons with others. I hope you'll do that today. I hope you'll think of those many things for which you are grateful. I think you will find many reasons to be cheerful, and I hope you will be a blessing to others today. God bless you. I'll see you at church tomorrow or again soon. Bye now.